FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. I know, good to see you too. Listen, I know it's Friday, but go ahead and start the holidays now. Like the Thanksgiving's next week, but your kids are off all stinking week. Did you get off all week? I don't remember getting off for an entire week when we were kids. Do you? What is that? Oh, you were there during the transition, Garrett? So sometime between the 90s and whenever. Garrett claims in his experience the transition happened in 2005. That's when it happened. We don't need that level of specificity, Garrett, but thank you. I appreciate the timestamp on that. So the kids are going to be off. That means your holiday really starts, supposed to be technically in 3 hours. I give you permission to go ahead and slough off now because we're going to be dealing with some real junior high level stuff here. It's important, part of the narrative here. I really wouldn't care about these sort of fake sensationalism issues if they would quit shooting at us. If there wouldn't be so many attacks, if they quit shooting at our ICE facilities or sending them suspicious packages or shooting at Charlie Kirk or shooting at Donald Trump or shooting at our churches or shooting at our Catholic schools. I really wouldn't care about this half as much as I do. But the over-the-top reaction to Trump saying this is seditious behavior, they should be executed. It's ridiculous because I see I have criticism for, I'm not playing the both sides game here, but both sides are really hyping this up. Number one, just the video that was put out saying, all right, everybody, you got to refuse these unlawful, unconstitutional orders. But they're vague enough to not say what it is and to absolve themselves. We're not telling anyone to not follow any lawful orders. Well, we're only saying the unlawful. Well, then why are you saying it? Why are you saying it now? If you're just, reiterating the rules, why didn't you do it 4 months ago, 6 months ago, or for the 4 years of Biden? If not to actively imply that Trump's doing unlawful, unconstitutional things. And then Donald Trump on the comeback. I almost feel like he fell into their trap. They want a hyperbolic reaction from him so they can act like it's real and scare stupid people. So when Trump's like, well, telling people to not follow lawful orders is seditious behavior punishable by death. Now all of a sudden you just made yourself a nice little dookie stew for the media to wallow around in. And I mean that every bit as ugly as it sounds. Because now, instead of talking about the economy, instead of talking about the impending peace deal with Russia and Ukraine, instead of talking about unemployment or drilling for oil or any of these other important things that are going on, Carolyn Leavitt, the White House spokesperson, had to take a question that is so dumb, but you have to take it anyway. Do you think the president wants to execute Democrat members of Congress? Really?
President Trump accused 6 Democratic lawmakers of seditious behavior punishable by death. Just to be clear, does the president want to execute members of Congress?
All right, before we even get to the answer, how tiring is this? Lady asking the question, do you really think that Donald Trump wants to execute the 6 Democrats who made that video? Do you really think that anybody thinks that? It's some of these other ones like, do you really think Jussie Smollett got attacked? Do you really? Like when they were reporting it, remember that? Do you really remember those moments? Really? Do you really? Do you really think the Inflation Reduction Act is going to reduce inflation? Do you really think if I like my doctor, I can keep my doctor? Do you really think wearing this thin piece of t-shirt material over my face will stop the deadliest virus in history? Do you really think I'm going to take an untested vaccine? We could do this over and over. But anyway, it's just ridiculous that we have to ask the question because it's not even a real question. It comes from such a bad faith position that no one believes the premise. Anyway, I'll let her answer because it's a damn good answer from Carolyn Leavitt.
No. Let's be clear about what the president is responding to, because many in this room want to talk about the president's response, but not what brought the president to responding in this way. You have sitting members of the United States Congress who conspired together to orchestrate a video message to members of the United States military, to active duty service members, to members of the national security apparatus, encouraging them to defy the president's lawful orders. The sanctity of our military rests on the chain of command. And if that chain of command is broken, it can lead to people getting killed. It can lead to chaos. And that's what these members of Congress who swore an oath to abide by the Constitution are essentially encouraging. We have 1.3 active duty service members in this country. And if they hear this radical message from sitting members of Congress, that could inspire chaos and it could incite violence and it certainly could disrupt the chain of command. These three members of Congress, I will also add, knew exactly what they were doing. You look at Alyssa Slotkin. She's a former member of the CIA. Mark Kelly was a captain in the U.S. Navy. Maggie Goodlander was a naval officer, and notably, she is also the wife of Joe Biden's national security former advisor, Jake Sullivan. And so these members knew what they were doing. They were leading into their credentials as former members of our military, as veterans, as former members of the national security apparatus to signal to people serving under this commander-in-chief, Donald Trump, that you can defy him and you can betray your oath of office. That is a very, very dangerous message, and it perhaps is punishable by law. I'm not a lawyer. I'll leave that to the Department of Justice and the Department of War to decide.
And so to hear the hyperbolic reaction to this, to Donald Trump saying this is seditious behavior punishable by death, which sedition is punishable by death. And when Donald Trump retweeted or retruthed someone else's tweet that's like, George Washington knew what to do, he hung him. That's just a historical fact. When George Washington, when he was in the field of battle, when he was in any kind of command, if they found a spy from the other side, just nearest tree, hang him. If they found a guy that was on their side that was feeding info or helping the other side, nearest tree, hang him. There's historical precedent for that. And that wasn't just for, people in a hot war situation after he became president, when they were putting together the Constitution and all that. That was still the law of the land. If you're a traitor, if you're acting seditious, hang him. I don't know if we would do that these days because we haven't really done a whole lot of hangings, but it's not that scary. So with that, here's just the absolute hyperbole from the other side. Chris Murphy, senator from Connecticut, pretending to be all scared, pretending like he really wants him dead.
The President of the United States just called for Democratic members of Congress to be executed.
First off, no, he didn't, but go ahead.
This is not normal. We cannot allow
this is frustrating because both sides are just talking past each other. Donald Trump didn't really say you should be executed. And for people in the Trump office, they didn't tell people to not obey lawful orders. They were specific in that. I know they were being a little cheeky with it, but we don't have to have hyperbole. We need to have the real conversation and not talk past each other. Anyway, let me let him continue because there's another thing I need to poke at this.
To feel normal. This, as far as I know, has never happened before in the history of the country.
It's a really dumb thing to say to a country that's had a civil war, but go ahead.
Every Democratic member of the Senate and the House, their life is in jeopardy right now.
No, you're not. Your lives are not in jeopardy. No one's assassinating your candidates. No one's assassinating your thought leaders on college campuses. No one's shooting up your churches. No one's attacking your events. No one's shooting at your baseball team. No one's going to your schools.
Especially those that were specifically targeted by this social media post. Democratic senators and House members who were simply saying that no member of the military should act illegally or in violation of the Constitution. The President of the United States just called for members of Congress to be executed.
No, I didn't.
If you are a person of influence in this country, maybe it's time to pick a side.
No, I'm not going to pick a bleeping side. I think both of you are acting like children. Now we're caught in this little squabble. Oh, he's called her a piggy. Oh, he wants him to be executed. Oh, he got money from Epstein. We have real issues here. We have a $1.8 trillion deficit that's giving all of us a pay cut this year through inflation. No one's doing anything about it. I'm glad we got the border closed, but we're still having people set on fire in trains. That's another upcoming story. We have a lot of real problems to take care of. We could be fixing healthcare. We could be fixing our education system. We could be addressing so many of these very important issues other than, oh, look, he called a girl a mean name. Oh, look, he's calling for public officials to be executed when he's clearly not. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, this hyperbole, this is why people are getting shot at. This is why crazy people are scratching stuff on bullets and then shooting at our ICE facility here in Dallas. I'll explain next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, hey there, sports fans. James Parker here for the Prize Picks app. I took advantage of the Thursday night football game last night between Houston and Buffalo and turned my genius sports knowledge into some hard cash. Now, it was Josh Allen, quarterback in the Buffalo Bills, and it was 223 and a half yards is what one stat was. I picked more on that. Houston's pretty good, but their defense can be a little soft at times. He got 253 yards, so boom. I won that one. Nico Collins, the wide receiver for Houston. His number was 71 and a half yards. And I wasn't too sure about him, so you can click on his name. They give you the stats on what he's done in the last 5 games, and you can see sort of the trajectory and average that they're on. And I thought that number was a little high, so I picked low. He only got 55 yards receiving, so boom. Both of my players were correct. I turned $50 into $150. Thank you very much. So Prize Picks is so fun, it might make the Cowboy season salvageable for you. Download the Prize Picks app, use promo code WBAP, and you get $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup. Download Prize Picks, use promo code WBAP, get $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup, and you can do what I just did, turn a little bit of money into a little bit more money. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right. Welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Does anybody really think the president wants to execute 6 Democrats in Congress? I mean, I'm sure there's some guy out there. I mean, there's someone out there who thinks they're Napoleon. But any rational person, do you think they saw that exchange and thought, oh, wow, if Trump could, he would have those people killed right now? That's how evil he is. You know, the number's not 0. The question is how many people actually think that. And that comes up because there was the video with the congressman and former intelligence officials. Hey, active duty service members, military, intelligence officials, remember, don't follow unlawful orders. Sure don't need to follow unlawful orders, that's for sure. So his response, hyped the situation, threw more gasoline on the fire. Now there's a ridiculous back and forth. And this is all based on hyperbole from both sides. From both sides. They're not calling for sedition. They're not trying to overthrow the government. And Democrats, Trump doesn't want to kill you. And you have nothing to worry about. This and that's the one of the frustrating parts about this is they get to wear this sort of badge of honor. Like, we live in fear every day. No, you don't. You don't live in fear every day. You're not the ones getting attacked. We're not the violent side. You're the violent ones. You never see a Team Red mob chucking a brick through a window and burning someone's business down, do you? You don't see mobs of them beating people in the street, do you? You don't see mobs of them chucking bricks at cop cars who are just trying to enforce the law. You don't see them shooting at Dallas policemen downtown. You don't see them shooting up ICE facilities. You don't see them shooting thought leaders on college campuses. So the hyperbole on both sides just really needs to stop. Because this is the type of over-the-top rhetoric that gets in these crazy people's heads and makes them scratch crazy stuff on bullets and start shooting at us. And in some ways, Donald Trump and his reaction, even though he's not in the wrong to do it, makes it worse. This is Michael in Fort Worth. You're on WBAP.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on your montage and all the stuff that you're saying. But just recently, didn't a congresswoman or senator go out and tell all her fellow Democrats to start killing Republicans, politicians, or if they don't, we're going to start coming after you?
I mean, if you take a really stretched interpretation of it, maybe. But no, nothing like explicit as that. They're not that dumb. They wouldn't go out and say those specific words.
She sure did. She sure did. I remember it coming back up on, I can't remember, I think it was on Newsmax. But also, too, I'm pretty sure a Democratic filmmaker made a movie a while back where Democrats could pay you a big sum of money and go on a hunt and kill Republicans.
Yeah.
That movie came out a couple of years ago, maybe a couple of years back. So, again, your montage about how the Democrats are doing all this stuff to Republicans and Christians is true. You got Maxine Waters. She ran her mouth. They finally had to tell her to shut up.
Well, I mean, look, she said get up in their face. That's not the same as kill them. That's not the same as...
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So we don't have to exaggerate to make the point. We don't have to do what they do and just take the most hyperbolic interpretation of it and then point out them. See, I told you they're evil. We need to do the opposite. We need to just give them the benefit of the doubt. No, she didn't want anybody to get in a fight. She just wanted to get in their face. That's how about she was just making some rhetorical flourish on a verbal debate here. But the hyperbole needs to stop. And for what little hyperbole we do, we're not helping. So let's not do that. But the whole Chris Murphy, you got to pick a effing side. Stop it. Here's Alyssa Slotkin. She's a former CIA, now senator, saying...
I would hope that people of all backgrounds, Democrat, Republican, Independent, would agree that threatening death for people you disagree with is beyond the pale of who we are as Americans.
See, so the way you frame that is so dishonest. We're not disagreeing on great taste, less filling. No one wants someone to die for a disagreement. Maybe for the content of what that disagreement is. You know, if you disagree on whether or not you should overthrow the government or assassinate your political rivals or whatnot. So the intentionally misleading language continues. Here's Yasemin Ansari, a congressional representative who was in the video.
Donald Trump just threatened to hang Democratic members of Congress and senators. This is officially the most insane and authoritarian action that Donald Trump has taken since taking the presidency in January. We've been saying that he is an authoritarian. He wants to be a king. He wants to be a dictator. And he has officially taken it to an extreme that even I did not think was possible or imaginable in the United States of America.
Yeah, we're all so scared. That's right. You have to live in constant fear for all those right wingers, for all those right wing terrorists, because, you know, they're always terrorizing stuff, those right wingers. Has there ever been a right wing riot? Don't tell me January 6th. Nothing even caught fire. They didn't steal anything. The guy who took the lectern, he said he left it there. He just carried it through the room for the photo op. He didn't even take it. I guess there was like an errant poo. So aside from not being housebroken, that's pretty bad. But you're not in danger, and stop acting like you are, because crazy people are taking you serious, and they keep shooting at us. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Coming up next, you're going to hear the follow-up on the Piggy controversy. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, happy Friday. Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Right now, Mamdani's at the White House for a meeting with Trump, probably talking about substantive issues outside the White House. We're talking about scuttlebutt. It matters, though. You ignore this. You ignore the explanation on why these people keep shooting at you. On why they keep shooting, why they assassinated Charlie Kirk, why they shot Trump in the ear, why they've attacked numerous ICE facilities, why they shot the Dallas policeman at a BLM rally here in Dallas not too long ago. Where does all this violence come from? Where does all this hatred come from? Why? Why do they hate so much? Why are they so violent? Why do they feel justified in their violence? This is why. This is why. We can take an innocuous tweet, act like Trump wants to execute people, and then scare people with just low IQs out there, easily led automatons who want to believe this stuff anyway. On the other part of the Trump scuttlebutt of the day is the piggy comment. Carolyn Levitt was asked about that as well at the press conference yesterday.
Look, the president is very frank and honest with everyone in this room. You've seen it yourself. You've all experienced it yourselves. And I think it's one of the many reasons that the American people reelected this president, because of his frankness. And he calls out fake news when he sees it. He gets frustrated with reporters when you lie about him, when you spread fake news about him and his administration. But he also is the most transparent president in history. And he gives all of you in this room, as you all know, unprecedented access. You are in the Oval Office almost every day asking the president questions. And so I think the president being frank and open and honest to your faces rather than hiding behind your backs is frankly a lot more respectful than what you saw in the last administration, where you had a president who lied to your face and then didn't speak to you for weeks and hid upstairs and didn't take your questions. So I think everyone in this room should appreciate the frankness and the openness that you get from President Trump on a near daily basis.
You know what? That's a good point. The press has unprecedented, well, I don't want to say it's unprecedented, but far more access than the previous guy gave him. He's answering questions on the plane. He's answering questions when he's walking to the plane. He's answering questions when he's walking to the helicopter. He's answering questions when he steps outside his office. Right now, he's taking questions inside the office. He's got Mamdani standing next to him. He's seated in the Oval Office at the presidential desk. Mamdani's standing behind him to his right with his hands folded in front of him, giving a statement, and then he's just going to point at someone and take a question. Y'all didn't have that for 4 years. You understand? For months at a time, you would only get prepared statements, scripted questions with scripted answers. And now this guy is actually treating you with some respect in the fact that he gives you access and talks to you and doesn't hide from you. And you're going to say he's not being fair because he called one lady a piggy? Look, that's not nice. It's childish. I wish he wouldn't have said it. But to act like he's abusive of the media, the previous guy was abusive of the media, and y'all just took it? Why? Because you're on his side. The previous candidate, Kamala Harris. Remember when they were trying to nail her down? Hey, when are you going to do an interview with us? Oh, well, we've already agreed to schedule an interview before the end of the month. Before the end of the month, it's the 9th. You're going to go a whole month without just opening up and taking questions? Yeah, and the media was fine with it. You want to drop in on this Mamdani thing here? I just kind of want to see what's going on. They're not like throwing mashed potatoes at each other or anything. Just
to afford life in the most expensive city in the United States of America. We spoke about rent, we spoke about groceries, we spoke about utilities, we spoke about the different ways in which people are...
All right, that's already boring me. We'll skip that. And in my next story, check out this transition. This is why I'm an awesome talk show host. In the next story I'm bringing up is the story coming out of Chicago. Did you see another woman was set on fire? And you're like, yeah, that was months ago. No. This happened on a different train. Another woman had an accelerant dumped on her, had gas dumped on her, and some crazy guy set her on fire. Now you want to start compiling this up. It's going to match some other stories that you've heard. Remember the guy on the train that stabbed the Ukrainian-born girl to death? He had like a bazillion priors. Bazillion arrests, bazillion felonies. Same thing with this guy. Remember the guy that burned the woman in New York? He was an illegal immigrant, had been in trouble with the law several times. They keep letting them out. That eventually happens. So it's just weird. A couple of patterns here that we're going to dig into. What is the deal with people getting set on fire on trains? If I had a nickel for every time someone got set on fire to death in a train this year, I would only have 2 nickels, but that's still weird. Like that's too many. What's going on here? And you add in the other stabbing one. What do all 3 of the women have in common? Could it be their race? Does that get mentioned in the story? You'll get to hear all that. But some viral video, I've been thinking about this guy half the day. Check this out.
Why do you think the Democrats care more about the woman who got called piggy by the president than they do about the woman who got set on fire on the train in Chicago, or the other woman who got beat up by a group of elementary school students, or the other woman who got stabbed in the neck?
Good point. You'll hear more about this Chicago story next. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. We are now doing the 38th annual Cumulus Kids Toy Drive. It's going to be presented by Dan Harker and his Empower Home team. We're doing this to raise money for kids and get them all presents at a couple of schools. Martin Luther King Jr. Arts Academy in Dallas, Charles Nash Elementary in Fort Worth. I actually went to Charles Nash Elementary in Fort Worth last Christmas to be there for the toy giveaway. Saw it with my own eyes. It was a beautiful sight. Got a little teary, came back, did a show, told you about it. But here's two ways you can help. Number one, you can visit any Sampac Auto Group location, drop off a new unwrapped toy. Or you can also text KIDS to 800-288-9227. KIDS to 800-288-9227. If you just want to donate money, totally accept. That's understandable. You don't have time to go get a toy, much less go drop it off. It doesn't take but a few thumb pushes to donate money. Go to WBAP.com for that. All right, my next story is a terrible story. Absolute tragedy here. Another woman was burned to death. Or actually, she didn't die. Thank God. This one did not die, but she was burned on the train. The media covering it, a little sus. Let's walk through this. Here's how it was originally reported, the short, quick report from Fox 32 in Chicago. This was their original report 3 days ago.
A brutal attack on the CTA Blue Line. A 26-year-old woman set on fire overnight. Police say the woman got into an argument with a man and then things got physical, and then he poured a liquid on her and lit it on fire. She was severely burned on her face and other parts of her body. Police now telling us that they do have a suspect in custody.
Did you hear that part? There was a verbal altercation and then he poured a liquid on her. Like this was somehow her fault or she escalated it or there was some sort of animus on her part, like there was a mutual animus and it just got out of hand. Yeah, that's not really what happened. And granted, they only had 30 seconds to tell you about it, but they left out a lot of important details. If you go to Fox 32's website the next day, you'll see that in the press conference, one of the officials in Chicago gave just totally disturbing detail that sort of mimics what happened in New York, in Charlotte. No one came to help her.
Perhaps people were afraid to get involved, but what we could say is even as she was on the ground trying to put herself out and is rolling on the ground, desperately trying to put out the fire, no one came to her aid until she was able to get off the train and to the platform. And when she finally stumbled down, two Samaritans came and put out all the blaze that was all consuming her.
So what the hell's going on? We have guys that are setting women on fire or stabbing them, just killing them randomly. They're not doing this to grown men. They're not doing it to me. I'm 6'3", 230 pounds. It might not go so well for you. So they're preying on little women, and they didn't say anything about the demographics of either the perps or the victims here. Huh. That's weird. I wonder why they would leave that out. Certainly the narrative's not getting in the way of the truth, is it? So the guy actually went to court this morning. There was some new info that finally came out. We know more about the guy that was under arrest. And so here it is 3 days later. We get more of the story. This was Fox News reporting on it this morning.
And Dana, Lawrence Reed will be once again before the judge today, this time to determine if he will be held behind bars before he goes to trial. And that really is the backbone of this case. On Monday, he was out walking the streets despite a pending case for allegedly knocking a woman out, able to ride the L train where a woman was set on fire. Now, we have a statement from her family through Cook County Health. It's a pretty simple statement. They say, "We'd like to thank everyone for their prayers and well wishes as our daughter receives care for her injuries sustained earlier this week. We're also grateful for the excellent care and support of the burn team at Stroger Hospital." It goes on to the family to say the family will not be providing any more updates. Now, the criminal complaint against Reed says he went to a gas station, filled a plastic bottle with gasoline. The images get brutal here, so brace yourself. 20 minutes later, he was on the Blue Line train. Dumped the gasoline on the woman's head. She ran, but he chased her down with the flaming remnants of the bottle and set her on fire.
What kind of nightmare movie is this? Here's the mayor of Chicago trying to downplay it.
Mayor Brandon Johnson's message is that violence on public transit is not widespread.
Look, my responsibility is to build the safest, most affordable big city in America. The investments that we are making are certainly moving us in that direction. This is an isolated incident. I mean, I don't see this as some sort of trend.
We've tracked down more than 4 dozen arrests of Lawrence Reed since 1993. 9 of them were for felonies, yet he has served just over 2 years behind bars. Most recently, he was charged with aggravated assault for knocking out a social worker. The state's attorney requested pretrial detention, but Judge Teresa Molina Gonzalez denied him the request and put him on electronic monitoring. The website CWB Chicago reports that at that detention hearing, Judge Molina Gonzalez said, "I can't put everyone behind bars or keep everyone in jail just because the state's attorney has asked me to."
All right, so how many of our daughters do we have to lose on trains? How many of them have to be burned on trains or stabbed to death on trains before we stop letting these people out? How many of them have to be kidnapped, raped, and murdered while they're jogging before we do something about these judges? These judges, have you no conscience? This lady who let him out, I hope you lose sleep for the rest of your life. You know, this is going to happen one day, and they're going to mess with the wrong daughter who has the wrong dad, and some dad is going to do something about this. And then we're all going to get blamed. Oh, see, look, political violence. Ken, Arlington, you're on WBAP.
Hey, is there some kind of app or link that the Democrats follow where it says don't let the crazy or the cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs out while we're in charge, only when the Republicans are in charge? Because that's what it seems.
Well, when the Democrats are in charge, MSNBC tells their audience things are going great. The economy's awesome. Everyone's getting along. There's world peace. Everyone has a job. Things are great because we're in charge. So these people are reacting to the media. So that you're making a great little observation there, Ken.
Right, peaceful protesting.
Right.
Everybody had balloons and confetti because it was a peaceful protest.
Well, Ken, you know, that was one of the anomalies that happened during the Obama's second term is when BLM rose up. There was, pretty much tranquility at the beginning. We had a little bit of tea party, but I mean, there was no riots and things catching on fire. And so the one time that they did get upset when their own team was in charge was during that rise of BLM and Antifa and all the riots that surrounded that with Trayvon and Michael Brown and whatnot. That's the one exception to the pattern you identified. But in case you were wondering, guys, the guy who set her on fire, black. The woman who was set on fire, white. Just like in Charlotte, just like in New York. So no, this isn't an isolated incident. This isn't an isolated incident if he's been arrested 49 times, if he's had 9 felonies, if some of them include misuse of fire. There's arson charges on his rap sheet. If this has happened in 3 different places, it's not an isolated incident. George Floyd was more of an isolated incident than this is. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. More on this not white rural rage coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
party? And do you think Leader Schumer is a leader Jeffrey and have to follow his lead?
Well, look, I hope they have great leaders. This is a man that right now I think is focused on New York City. I really think he has a chance to do a great job. We're going to help him, but I really think he has a chance to do a great job. But I'll let you answer that. You consider yourself the leader of the Democrats. I think it's more appropriate for him.
I consider myself the next mayor of New York City, and I keep my horizons firmly on New York City, and I appreciate the meeting with the president, which focused again on the 5 boroughs and whether New Yorkers could afford to live there.
By the way, being the mayor of New York City is a big deal.
Absolutely.
I always said, one of the things I would love to be someday is the mayor of New York City. Being the mayor of New York, and especially now, because I think you're at really a turning point, one way or the other. It can go great, or it can
go in New York City, and that's why making bus policies would prompt you to do that. With that.
Yeah, I use the term. We don't want good money going after bad. And
be very clear. What you said. No, the use of
Mr. Maloney, a synagogue in New York. Are you concerned about
bad? And we don't want that to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I did say that subject to wants to see rents coming down, all things that I agree with. Now, meeting today that actually surprised me. He wants to see no going to happen. I did say that, subject to what policies are being set.
Trump and Mamdani meeting in the White House right now. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. And I was just listening to some of this on the break, and just want to share a quick moment with you. They're currently taking questions from the press. Donald Trump is seated at his desk in the Oval Office. Mamdani's behind him to his right, standing up. And this is something that I think we need to spend more time on. We were talking about the hyperbole earlier of Donald Trump wants to execute people, or Donald Trump calls women piggies or whatever. We all need to sort of slow our roll and stop with the sensational hyperbole. No one's committing sedition. No one needs to be hanged, right? We need to see more of this Trump right here. The Trump who's at the business negotiating table, following the same old playbook that he wrote about in Art of the Deal, that all businessmen have read about, going back to How to Win Friends and Influence People. When you're at the table with the guy you're negotiating with, he is not your enemy. But also, I like just sort of this human sort of, I guess empathy would be the best word for it. I'm sure there's a better one. Where we talk about this on the James Show. We all want the same thing. We all want housing to be more affordable. We want healthcare to be more affordable. We want education to be both more affordable and have better results. We just differ on how to get there.
We had a meeting today that actually surprised me. He wants to see no crime. He wants to see housing being built. He wants to see rents coming down, all things that I agree with. Now, we may disagree how we get there. The rent coming down, I think one of the things I really gleaned very much today, he'd like to see him come down, ideally, by building a lot of additional housing. That's the ultimate way. He agrees with that, and so do I. But if I read the newspapers and the stories, I don't hear that. But I heard him say it today, and I think that's a very positive step.
All right, so I love that angle to it, because if we can stick with that, if that can be the baseline for our conversation, then what we're going to have after that is necessarily just an economic argument. No one's a good guy or a bad guy. We both want the same things. We both want poor people to be in as good as housing as we can possibly set up for themselves. We just differ on how to get there. But that's not how it ends up. It ends up you're a racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe. A lot of that is because they can't win the economic argument. Socialism is the flat earth of economics. No matter how much it's been disproven, there's still some people who just persist in believing. And then you end up with the kind of rhetoric. Look out for white rural rage from MSNBC. Yeah, that's going to be the next thing. You got to watch out for those white rural people, those MAGA voters. You got Michelle Obama giving out a message to white people last weekend. Hey, you big bunch of idiots, just shut up, listen to me, and don't touch my hair. You got the whole media hype about white cops killing black men for sport like it's some sort of hobby. And you fuel this rage, you fuel this emotion, you just whittle that hatred down to a razor's edge, and now you can't have a rational discussion anymore. That's the problem. Yeah, and now people are getting set on fire on trains. They're getting stabbed to death on trains. ICE agents are getting shot at. Steve in Weatherford, you're on WBAP.
Hey, sir. Good afternoon. I sincerely believe that these judges and the judicial system lacks turmoil in our country. Imagine there is no crazy stuff going on. How are these lawyers going to make their money that they then contribute to the judge's campaign? They lack turmoil.
Right? Okay.
They lack turmoil.
Now, you described it on the front line issue, scaring people into donating and your local voters and whatnot. But if you go read their literature, if you read communist/socialist literature, they talk about agitating. That's the word that they use, is agitating. They don't want people to be comfortable, because if we're comfortable, we're not going to overthrow our capitalist system and institute their preferred system. And since capitalism's not going to fail on its own, they have to manufacture discomfort. That's why they call themselves agitators. So yeah, they want you to be uncomfortable. They don't want you to be safe. They want homeless people accosting you. They want criminals getting out over and over again. They want the turmoil. They want people overburdening the system with social programs so that the whole damn thing collapses and they can finally prove that this was late stage capitalism. And the only thing that's going to fix is this socialism, because we've been telling you silly capitalist pigs this whole time it wasn't going to work.
It's big money. Now, we do have one other thing coming out next year. I heard there's going to be a new movie. It's a sequel to the one called Dumb and Dumber. The new one's going to be called Dumb and Dumber and Jasmine Crockett.
All right, don't fall in that trap. I don't think she's actually dumb. I think she's playing a part, and I think she's doing it very well. And as much as we've seen her like step in horse poo this week, she did more. Do you realize this, Stephen Weatherford? She did more unscripted media this week than Kamala Harris did her entire 107-day campaign. She took more unscripted, unprepared questions this week than Joe Biden took the last 2 years of his presidential term. Maybe the whole 4 years of his presidential term. She is, don't make fun of her, she is the head of the Democrat Party right now. Not saying she calls the shots on who gets the donations from the Democrat Party or whatever, but as far as the voters go, as far as the media goes, as far as the influence goes, she's number one. She was on TV this week more than AOC. She was on TV this week more than Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, the guys that actually run the Democrats in the Senate and the House. This was during a shutdown deal. This was during all kinds of other turmoils. This was during the Epstein flare-up. She's the face. She's the front runner right now. She is going to be on the stage in the Democrat primaries for president in the next election. Mark it.
I hope so.
Yeah, I kind of do too. Good stuff. Stephen Weatherford. Thank you very much, sir. Coming up next on The James Show, interesting news that the Russia-Ukraine war could be coming to an end. Peace talks are progressing, but will they work? David Hamilton from America's Future Series next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Yorkers who voted for President Trump in the most recent presidential election because of that focus on cost of living. And I'm looking forward to working together to deliver on that affordability agenda.
I got a lot of votes. One more. Go ahead. One or two more. Go ahead. I tell you, the press has eaten this thing up. You know, I've had a lot of meetings with the heads of major countries. Nobody cared. This meeting, that you people have gone crazy. You know, outside you have hundreds of people waiting. This is just a small little group. For some reason, the press has found this to be a very interesting meeting. The biggest people in the world, they come over from countries nobody cares. But they did care about this meeting, and it was a great meeting. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. President, I was going to ask you exactly that. Why do you think there's so much more, so much excitement around this than in some form?
Because I think he's different. All right? I think he's different, and that can be in a very positive way. But I think he's different than, your typical guy runs, wins, becomes mayor maybe, and nothing exciting. Because he has a chance to really do something great for New York. New York is at a very critical point. And he does need the help of the federal government to really succeed, and we're going to be helping him. But he's different than, your average candidate. He came out of nowhere. I said he has a great campaign manager standing over there. He came out of nowhere. What'd you start off at 1 or 2? And then I watched. I said, who is this guy? He was at 1, then he was at 3, then he was at 5, then he was at 9. Then he went up to 17. I said, let's get a little bit interesting, right? And then all of a sudden he wins a primary that nobody expected he was going to win. It's a great tribute. I mean, it's an amazing thing that he did.
And I'll just add one thing to what the president said. Is one thing I also appreciated is in our meeting to appreciate a portrait of FDR and the incredible work that was done with the New Deal, and also in thinking about what it can look like when the federal government and New York City government work together to deliver on affordability. It can be transformative.
We have a great portrait of FDR that I found in the vaults that was missing for years. I found it, and I put it up. He's a Democrat, to the best of my knowledge. He's a Democrat. And when the mayor saw that portrait, he said, "Sir, do you mind if I have a picture taken by that portrait?" It's an amazing portrait. I hope the picture comes out good. But it's an amazing portrait in the cabinet room. So he's a big fan of the New Deal, I guess, and of FDR. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said that you both spoke about crime.
Yeah.
There are many police officers set to come off the rolls at the end of this year in New York City. Are you going to allow those police to be replaced with police officers, actual cops? And are you going to require that that happens? Would there be some consequences?
Well, I hope it happens, but again, it's going to be ultimately the mayor's decision.
What's your answer?
Is that I look forward to delivering public safety with the NYPD, and I've said over the course of our campaign that we have the number of police officers today. They are the ones that's budgeted about 35,000 headcount. And I think the key thing is that we have to make it easier for police to focus on police work, not ask them to respond to 200,000 mental health calls a year.
So is that a reduction from what you're at right now? Are you committing to maintaining the same level?
I've committed over the course of the campaign to maintain the 35,000. That's the headcount that we had through the campaign.
And not replace them with caseworkers, social work?
No, I've said that's the headcount that we want. What we need to do is make sure they can focus on serious crime.
And he just retained a great police commissioner, I believe, right?
Yes, we did. Commissioner Fish.
If the newspapers are correct.
That one they're correct about.
He retained, I think, somebody that is she's a good friend of some of the people in my family, of Ivanka, and they say she's really good, really competent, and he just retained her, so that's a good sign.
Are there still topics that you see that you're disagreeing on in the future, and do you think you'll have more meetings like this?
There will be topics that we disagree on. I think we'll probably come to a conclusion, and ultimately he'll convince me, or I'll convince him. It's for the good of New York. Ultimately, it's for the good of New York. I don't care about affiliations or parties or anything else. I want to see if this city could be unbelievable, if he could be a spectacular success, I'd be very happy.
Do you think you guys will meet more in the future too?
Are we about to get a ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia? It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. And this is probably one of the headlines we would talk about if the media actually wanted to give you headlines that were newsworthy, not someone was called piggy Or Trump wants to kill 6 Democrats in Congress or something to that effect. So to give you an assist with a very important headline that's kind of being overlooked right now, David Hamilton's coming back on from the National Security Economic Center at UNT. David Hamilton, first off, been a while. Welcome back, sir. Good to see you. And I have heard nothing in the headlines about Russia and Ukraine, probably since the last time you were on, which was a month or two ago. What's the update? Where are they at on that? I know, right? Someone was called Piggy, David. That's important. So what is in this ceasefire discussion so far, and what parts do you not like? So when you say major territorial concessions, that implies that there's some territorial concessions that we'd be okay with, and this exceeds that. So what's their claim to that? Is it majority Russian ethnicity and makeup, or are they wanting to get some rare earth materials that are in that territory? Well, why does Russia want these extra territories that they haven't even conquered yet? All right, so he's not after like specific farmland or something to that effect. All right. Okay, so is there any chance that he is just trying to ask for too much because he wants us to keep going? I'm sorry, is that like the Swift banking system, that one? Why does he care about that, though? Does that open up trade something or other? Okay. It just sounds like a vanity project. Okay. Gotcha. David Hamilton, do you have a timetable? I know you don't have a crystal ball and it's an impossible question, but do you think this is something that could be wrapped up, like, say, in a year? Okay, well, keep an eye on it for us. National Security Economic Center at UNT. How you guys doing? You have any events coming up? Well, we were at the Medal of Honor Museum last week. That was fantastic. David Hamilton, thank you very much. How do they find your work online? Yeah, something like that. All right. Your phone knows. Thank you, David. All right, coming up next on the James Show, Sharia courts. They're already in Dallas. Question is, what are we going to do about it? 800-288-9227. Oh, yeah, and Garrett's World. The whole world's waiting for Garrett's World. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Hold on to your wives and girlfriends. It's Garrett's World time on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hold on tight. Garrett will steal them. The Garrett's World, if you're new to the show, there's a guy that sits on the other side of the glass over here, the producer for the James Show. His name's Garrett. And he's so damn good and wholesome, it's suspicious. It's like working with Ned Flanders or the 40-year-old virgin or something like that. But he has some interesting stories we'd like to share with you. Interesting is in air quotes.
So, in honor of Wicked for Good coming out today, I thought it would be a great time to talk.
Hang on. Wicked for Good? You're doing a tribute to Wicked for Good? Oh, I told you, he's so wholesome. It's weird. It's commendable. It's admirable. I don't know. Most of the people I work with in radio have been just absolute degenerates. This is a new one for me. All right, let's try this again.
So, in honor of Wicked for Good coming out today, I thought it would be a great time to talk about my own Oz-related experience. About 20 years ago, when I was 8, in the summer of 2005, time comes and goes so quickly here. Anyway, we took a road trip and were traveling up north to South Dakota to visit Mount Rushmore on our family vacation. One of the states we had to travel through to get there was Kansas. At the time, and even still to this day, The Wizard of Oz was one of my favorite movies. And knowing its main character, Dorothy Gale, is from Kansas, I just knew there had to be something related to the movie in the state. I kept telling my mom, when we get to Kansas, we gotta go see Dorothy's house. However, my mom kept telling me The Wizard of Oz is just a movie and Dorothy's house isn't real. I kept insisting, and Mom kept saying no, that I was being silly. But just when I was starting to lose hope, we arrived at Kansas. A big Welcome to Kansas sign appeared on the side of the road. A short while later, an even bigger sign read, "Come visit Dorothy's house." My parents were completely baffled, and the looks on their faces were priceless. I just looked at them like, told you. So, of course we had to do it. We made our way to Liberal, Kansas, where Dorothy's house was located. To put it simply, it was awesome. In addition to its 1900-inspired rural Kansas house, there was also a yellow brick road which featured names of many celebrities who had visited, including former President and First Lady Ronald and Nancy Reagan, and Liza Minnelli, the daughter of Judy Garland, who played Dorothy herself. This led to other areas of the park, including a Munchkin Land-themed playground and a picnic area, both of which we played and ate in. The house itself had a giant museum inside, featuring many pictures, facts, and other memorabilia related to The Wizard of Oz. With so much to see and do, we practically spent the whole day there. It was one of those completely unplanned experiences that became one of the best parts of our vacation. Let me know if you've ever visited Dorothy's house in Kansas.
And that's today's edition of Garrett's World. Garrett, when you go to restaurants, do you still get the kids' placemat with the crayons, do the maze and stuff on it? You don't have any stories where you were living in some shady apartments and the illegal immigrant living next door to you got in a fist fight, so you had to go with his 15-year-old daughter to go translate and bail him out of Lou Sterrett? You don't have any of those stories? All right. You're just a good guy. Coming up on the James Show, one of Garrett's relatives is going to call in and tell me what a great segment it is. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. That's if you want to jump in on the James Show. Garrett's already texted his relatives to call in, I'm sure. All right. Let's do a hard transition from that fun, lighthearted story to this one that this has really got my attention. At the beginning of the week, Governor Greg Abbott declared Muslim Brotherhood and Council on American Islamic Relations Muslim terrorist organizations, which has all kinds of legal dominoes that started to fall, including an announced investigation into their funding and whether or not they have Sharia courts. And then specifically, your governor on Wednesday referred to there's 2 Sharia courts in Dallas, and I think there's one in Collin County and one in Irving. And so I had heard about Islamic communities, and they got mosques that are opening up all over the place, and I didn't know there were any courts here though. So I've been looking for some stuff, And it's not coming from the mainstream media. It's coming from your secondary sources. This is a local influencer who goes by Salty Tattooed Mama. And she gave us a tour of these Irving, this Muslim neighborhood in Irving that's walled off. It looks like it has its own hospital, school, whatever, court system, maybe too. And this is the kind of stuff that's starting to get me really concerned.
We all saw what happened in Irving, Texas over the weekend. So let's go ahead and continue down the rabbit hole of what's actually happening in the DFW suburbs. Because once you see this, you can't unsee it. I'm going to show you clips of this video because the original video is over 20 minutes long. If you want the full thing, I'm going to go ahead and drop the X link down in the comments and y'all can go watch the whole thing there. What you're about to see are new neighborhoods that are popping up within Irving and Plano.
Everybody is Muslim here. Names have been chosen on Muslim scientists of the golden era of Islam. So this is the masjid. MashaAllah, they have the Salam Masjid here. Private park. MashaAllah written on all of them. Allah Muhammad. Oh my God, this one is a real beauty. This is Muslims, right? Medina Villas, I knew it. They're Muslim. The masjid is right next door. We just walk to the masjid. MashaAllah. That's how easy it is here. Subhanallah, in America, in the United States. Welcome to Irving, Texas. And we are entering a very interesting community. A community made up of Muslims, a community where the street names are all Muslims. This is the Valencia State's Mahmoud Egal Drive.
These are not just immigrant communities. These are entire subdivisions themed around one ideology, one culture, and one worldview. These folks are not trying to assimilate into America's suburbia. They're trying to build their own separate version of it. And if you understood the actual doctrine behind political Islam, you would understand that the strategy has always been the same. Change the inside first, and then everything else follows.
All right, she goes, I encourage you to go watch the rest of that report on her X feed, Salty Tattooed Mama. If you don't find her, that's all right. I retweeted it, so if you follow me or WBAP on Twitter, you can see the whole thing. But as libertarian as I am, you have found my boundaries. I am a live and let live guy to the hilt. Unless you want to come in here, set up your own society within a society, not follow our courts, not follow our laws, not follow our Constitution, and have your own little nation within our nation, well, then now you're not an immigrant. Now you're an invader. Now you're literally a colonizer. That's what that is. If you wall off your own little sovereign piece of land and you run it the way you see fit and not what the nation around you, that is a colony. That is the definition of a colony. And for the people who use colony as a bad word, you're kind of right on this one. What happened to the Indians when we did this in North America? The Indians are gone. The colonizers took over. That's what's going on here. If you want to immigrate, and it's not because they're Muslim, it's because they're not assimilating. No one wants to squish the religious beliefs of Dave Chappelle. No one wants to squish the religious beliefs of all the Muslims that live in Dallas-Fort Worth that don't wear a hijab and they wear gold jewelry and they eat pork and they're pretty damn secular and they follow our laws and courts and they don't want to segregate out and have their own little Sharia city. But this is exactly where they cross the line. You're going to come here? You want to come to America? Then follow our courts, follow our laws, follow our Constitution. If not, you're not welcome. Go back. You want to live in an Islamic society? Return from whence you came. And it's not because they're different. It's because of what they believe. Have Muslims gone into any country, become the majority, and things turn out better for the women in that country? I don't want my daughters and granddaughters to be forced to wear a hijab or to be seen as second-class citizens or to not have their witness count in a court of law as much as a man's. Our society's better. Our Constitution is better. Our way of life is better. If you don't like it, you're not welcome here. 800-288-9227. Chris Putnam from the Dallas Express next on this topic. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Did you even know we have Sharia courts in Dallas? It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. This is something I have heard of before, got confirmed this week. Governor Greg Abbott declares Muslim Brotherhood and CAIR, Muslim terrorist organizations, announces an investigation into some specific groups, and named in that 2 Sharia courts in Dallas, one in Collin County, and some other communities around here that are suspected of doing the same thing. To give me an assist on this from the Dallas Express, Chris Putnam's coming back on. What's up, Chris? I'm doing okay. I didn't know we had 2 Sharia courts in Dallas. Did you know about this, or is this news to you too? Yeah, and so I was playing in the last segment, some online independent journalists were showing some a Muslim community in Irving that's walled off, and it has all Muslim named streets, and it has the temple next to the whatever Islamic center next to, and it sounds like they're already building their little Sharia neighborhoods as it is. I mean, this is just happening right under our nose, and it seems to be happening fast. Well, I am a libertarian, and probably to an annoying degree, I'm going to live and let live kind of guy on WBAP. I think all drugs should be legal. You should be able to marry whoever you want to marry. Any weird thing that consenting adults want to do, I'm kind of okay with that, even if it's weird surgeries or sex things or whatever. But this is actually past my boundaries. If you want to come here and have an extrajudicial community that doesn't follow our laws, it doesn't follow our Constitution, then you're not an immigrant. You're an invader. You're a colonizer, is the way I see it. So what do we do about it, Chris? Well, we're talking with Chris Putnam from DallasExpress.com. I think one of the things I find real frustrating about this is you think the feminists and the people who are worried about the patriarchy and the Me Too and the vagina hat crowd, they would be up in arms about this, because here we actually do have a society and a culture that represses women, that openly sees them as second-class citizens, that is indifferent toward violence against them if it's done under the parameters of their religion. And we're not getting any support from them. They're running around saying free Palestine, flying the Palestinian flags, calling us racist for pointing it out, or saying we're xenophobes. And here we are actually trying to protect the women of America by keeping their oppressors out. Yeah, and this doesn't come from a position of hate on our side. Like when I see the woman in the full hijab, especially when it's August and it's 104 degrees, I just want to say, hey, you don't have to do that anymore. You can take that off. You're free. You're free. You don't have to do that. And then I even see the ones in the ninja mask, and I'm not making fun of them. It's just the ones with the eye slit to where you can't even see their mouth. And I just think I feel sorry for these women. Like, I know you don't want to dress like that. I know you would like to be able to walk around outside free and feel the sun hit your face and be able to breathe normally just because you walked outside of the house. This comes out of a place of concern and empathy. This isn't xenophobia or racism. And still, you think there would be more people on our side on this one, Chris? No. It never works out good. Name. Chris, we got to run. All right, this is Chris Putnam. DallasExpress.com also has the newly redesigned Dallas Express app. Thank you very much, sir. Weird Al Yankovic is coming to town, Dickies Arena, September 25th. Special guest Puddles Pity Party. Get tickets and information at livenation.com. Still coming up on the James Show. Deportations have emptied some schools. Why are people complaining about that? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Happy Friday, fellow Texans. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. You know, our top stories of the day outside of the James Show, like in the rest of the media, so disappointing. We have the Piggy story. We have the Trump wants to execute members of Congress story. The Mom Donnie story. I mean, it's kind of cute and it's fun to watch, but it's nothing that affects your life. On the James Show, though, the big stories here, this new investigation into Sharia courts in the Dallas area has my attention. The reports that I'm seeing from social media, not from mainstream old school legacy media, from the independent journalists around here that are just taking their phones out and recording this and sharing it with you. This is a big problem. And it's a big problem that if it's dealt with now, isn't going to be that difficult to deal with. But if you let this build and fester, we're going to have big problems in the future. And of course, the other thing, everyone can't stop talking about Garrett's World because it's the greatest segment in Dallas radio history. 800-288-9227. This is Garrett's Uncle Kenny. Let me guess, do you like Garrett's World?
Oh, yes, I sure do. He's a great kid.
Was that it?
No. I think you've got him all wrong, though. Y'all, you think he's this wholesome young kid, but I do know of one story where he was actually kind of rebellious.
What was he, running with scissors?
No. I don't know exactly how old he was, but it's my favorite story.
What, are we getting another episode of Garrett's World here?
Yeah, you sure are, man.
All
Two
right.
for the price of one. He was probably about 3 or 4. He was in church, and they were passing the Lord's Supper, and he didn't get to partake of it.
And so he didn't give him the quarters?
He didn't get to accept Christ yet, so he didn't get to give money in the offering plate.
I know, but are you going to say they gave him the money to put in the offering plate and he didn't put it in because he didn't get a cracker?
That's exactly right.
That was on a previous episode of Garrett's World.
Well, it's my favorite story. I love it.
All right. Garrett's mom and dad, you're on WBAP. Let me guess, you like Garrett's World too?
We love Garrett's World, absolutely.
Yes, we do.
There's Dad, too.
Is there anything else we'd like to add to that?
Yes. I'd like to say, first of all, your last segment, I really appreciate you bringing that and agree with you mostly on that. So thank you. Secondly, I just wanted to say that as far as Garrett being wholesome and good, he really is. And for all the young ladies out there listening, he is available.
Yeah, ladies. They're just lining up for him. Okay, so Garrett has lived with you all the entire time? Garrett never lived on his own?
No, he spent 4 years at college, and he actually studied abroad in Ireland and did a semester there. So he's lived even internationally by himself.
Okay, but when you say he went off to college, he went from Burleson to Fort Worth.
Well, he did.
Well, that's not like leaving the nest entirely. But okay, all right.
Well, he was responsible for himself, so he knows how to do it. When he graduated, it was like in the midst of COVID or the beginning of COVID, and the shutdown happened, and it was hard to find a job and a location to live. So he came home, and we're happy to have him, and he can live here with me as long as he wants to. He's my baby.
Are you comfortable saying that? Because I don't want any of my kids living with me when they're in their 30s.
Well, I am very comfortable in saying that. Garrett's a lot of help around here. He helps out with bills, and he helps out with me.
At some point, though, don't you want to see him like leave the nest and start his own household and get married and have kids and do adult things?
Absolutely, I do. And I've been praying for the woman that comes into Garrett's life since he was in my belly. And I believe she's out there. And yes, I would love that so much. I would love to have grandbabies. So,
well, it's not likely to happen if he's living with you. You know, there's the act of making grandbabies means parents can't be around all the time.
Well, I'm going to say this. As much as he works at WBAP and sleeps over there a lot, he's not here a whole lot.
All right, Garrett's mom.
So he uses his room here as a bedroom, and that's about it. So he works a lot, as you know.
I agree in the fact that we do need to get him a girlfriend. Let's
Yeah.
work on that because he's in shape. He's not a fat guy. Most people that work in radio look like absolute chuds, and so he's great by radio standards. All right, next caller here, Terrence in Dallas. You're on WBAP. What do you think, Terrence?
Well, yeah, I definitely think you need to stay on that story and beat it like a dead horse, because I think everybody in the world is sleeping and they don't understand what's going on in the UK.
You talking about the Sharia story?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, the reason why it is a concern is Islam started in this one region and then branched out. And in every country where they became the majority, the previous culture got thrown underfoot, and the one that replaced it is not the same sort of, I don't know, full complement of your human rights, especially for the ladies and our gay friends and non-Muslims out there. You know, your human rights go backwards when Muslims take over. And that's not a slight to all my Muslim friends out there, but historically speaking, y'all's system of governance has not been as open and enlightened as Western civilization is accustomed to. And that's where the real conflict comes from. It's not your skin tone, and it's not even your religion. It's that political aspect where you want to supplant the Constitution and our Western civilization norms for your Sharia. And now you're not assimilating. Now you're not becoming an American. Now you're building a colony in Irving.
Well, that's true. But you ask how many Americans, if you ask them, hey, would you go to their country and live? And they would say what? Absolutely not.
Oh, hell no. Oh, my God. Who wants
to? No, nobody would go there. So why are we willing to accept them to come here? Now, I get it if they want to.
No, I love that conversation, because why are there so many here all of a sudden? Do we have, like, are these engineers who are in short supply and we're not going to have our space industry without these people? Is that what's going on? Is this something we really can't live without? Because unless they're doing some very important function that we can't find anywhere else on the planet, sounds like we're just importing the hatred in our next civil war. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up on the James Show, MAGA men are dangerous. Maybe this is why Garrett doesn't have a girlfriend. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, happy Friday. Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins, the fun little show that comes on right before the James Show. If you like my show, you'll probably like them too. So check it out. Currently, we're talking about how the more I dig into this Sharia law in Texas story, the worse it gets. And, a lot of this was kicked off at the beginning of the week when Governor Abbott declared the Muslim Brotherhood and CAIR to be terrorist organizations. They opened up some investigations. And then they talked a little bit more about specifics. There's a couple of Sharia courts that are operating already in Dallas, one in Collin County, reportedly, allegedly, whatever, lawyers. So I do dig around a little more. There's some great work that are done by independent journalists around here. I was playing you a clip from one named Salty Tattooed Mama, who's a local Dallas area journalist, showing you a Islamic compound neighborhood in Irving. All the buildings have Muslim names. All the streets have Muslim names. All the people that live there are Muslim. There's a Muslim temple. And I think we have found the extent of my libertarian tolerance here. If you want to come to America, create an extrajudicial system, not follow the Constitution, and come up pretty much make this a colony of your previous country, no. That's just a big fat no. Thank you very much. And listen, I don't have anything against Muslims coming here, no matter the color of their skin, their country of origin. But if you don't want to assimilate, that's where the problem starts. You can come here. And look, we all know what happens here. You come here as a secular Muslim, you're not wearing the hijab, you're not following the eating codes, you're not dressing like the Imperial Guard in Return of the Jedi, just wearing normal Western clothes. What happens? You assimilate, you start listening to country music, and pretty soon you're one of us. Your kids are playing football, they're eating barbecue. Yeah, harmony happens. This is a problem. Timothy, Frisco, you're on WBAP.
Hello, thanks for having me. I've been trying to reach you for a while, but I got a little bit on a rock and I listen to your show a lot. And when you mentioned Sharia law, I actually went and had watched a couple of shorts about what it is. And as you know, it's a series of laws similar to God's laws in the Bible. I haven't really seen anything too negative. And when you mentioned Sharia courts, is it like an actual Sharia like courtroom where they actually hold court for Muslims that?
So here's what I understand, and the investigation hasn't been done, so this is all reportedly, allegedly, whatever qualifiers you want to put on it. So Sharia courts, they purport to be like a private arbitration settlement dispute service, but if you the way I understand in the bad terms, if this is what's going on, if someone steals from you, if you live in this little compound in Irving, this little neighborhood in Irving, and someone steals your kid's bike, you don't call the Irving police. You don't call the Texas DPS. You go to your local masjid or the Sharia court, and some guy that's within the Islamic court system will resolve that dispute for you. If someone punches you or beats you or you have a dispute, that's who you go to. You don't call the cops. They don't go to court. They don't go to Lou Sterrett jail, which means they also don't get a record. It also doesn't show up on a background check. It's something that future employers and police officers, when they pull you over or try and figure out who you are, it won't show up on our records either. So that's what I understand the Sharia courts are and why they run afoul to our law, because it's an extrajudicial system.
Interesting. I mean, for the longest, didn't like the Jewish in New York have their own police department? I'm pretty sure they still do. And local communities in America have been doing that for years. There's people that get into fights all day, steal, and they find out who did it, and they handle it within their home. What's the difference?
What do you mean, what's the difference?
Other than I guess having a physical building, what's the difference between the Jewish policing their neighborhoods with actual Jewish police officers or local people in the community getting together and handling disputes?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So again, to be as libertarian as possible, I really don't have a problem with these private organizations coming up with their own sort of arbitration system. But when it replaces the legal system that we have, like when we all got together and we voted in the county and the state level what our laws and penalties are going to be, if they are following a different set of laws and penalties, that's where the problem comes from. And that's not what other municipalities are doing. Like if Bug Tussle has its own police force, they're not following a different set of laws. They're still following the laws of the state of Texas. They're still following the laws of Smith County. They're still following the laws of the United States of America. And so I really don't have a problem if someone else is, adding to the law enforcement personnel and they're doing so from a religious angle. Are these Jewish policemen still following the laws of America, or is this an extrajudicial system? Because I would be against that too.
Understood. And are the Sharia law, are they breaking any laws as of right now?
Well, you break laws when you don't report laws to the police. There's ways of breaking laws like I wish I knew the proper term for it, but I'm not a lawyer. So yeah, I don't know the terms. I'm speaking over my head now. Timothy, luckily I'm out of time here. So I'm going to use that as my excuse to get out of this conversation. But clearly I have a little more reading to do because, I don't know if you've been listening to the show all week. I'm just learning more and more and more every day and trying to draw my own little boundaries around it. And I hope to give you better answers in the future. I still have a little bit more reading to do.
Same here. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Because I have thoughts, but I don't want to come back and have to retract stuff on Monday because I get a bunch of correction emails over the weekend. So just let me be human and bleed for a second and not know everything. I do not have time for another call. Coming up next, Name That Artist. Now, Name That Artist this is going to be a special edition because these are all songs that I never want to hear again. I didn't say they were bad songs. I'm just saying they're songs that I never want to hear again. So if you're interested in tickets to Leonard Skinner and Foreigner, call in right now, 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. What's up, nerds? It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. You're not really a nerd. Just want to see if you're paying attention. You're just in time for Name That Artist. It's Friday, damn it. We're going to have some fun here before I kick you out of here for the weekend. And at stake today, tickets to see two great bands, Lynyrd Skynyrd and Foreigner. Oh, my goodness. Don't even bother calling in, though. It's too late. The lines are already full. But listen, all you people on hold. Listen to this montage. If you can get out a piece of paper and a pen, that would be greatly appreciated. Maybe a notepad file on your phone. And write down the artist. I don't need the name of the song. I need the artist to these 10 songs. And today's category is songs that I never want to hear again. And don't get all butthurt. These aren't songs that I hate. These aren't songs I think are bad. Some of these are damn good songs. I'm just tired of hearing them. So with that, here's your montage for today's Name That Artist.
I got my first real six string, bought it at the 5 and dime, played it till my fingers bled, was the summer of 69. You shook me all night long. Yeah, you. If there was a problem, yo, I'll solve it. Check out the hook while my DJ revolves it. Ice, ice, baby.
Oh my God, what a beating. That's your montage for today. And I realize the irony. I just made a montage of 10 songs I never want to hear again. And I had to just listen to them on my own damn show. I get it. I get it. Some of those songs are just terrible, aren't they? Just absolute trash. Just garbage. Garbage. What? You like them all? All right. Well, look, you get the benefit of youth. Add about 20 more years of your life and think of how many times you're going to hear Journey's Don't Stop Believing. It's going to be about 10,000 times over the next 20 years. You'll be done with some of these songs. You'll regret saying that. You want to do ladies first here? Jill in Frisco, you're first up on Name That Artist. You ready to go?
Yes, sir, I am.
Listen to this confidence here. All right, well let's hear your list. Ready? Garrett, you got the drum roll? What are you doing over there? There you go. All right, hit it, Jill.
All right, Bryan Adams, Summer of 69, AC/DC, Vanilla Ice, Four Non-Blondes, Jefferson Starship. Oh, the second I got Hey Soul Sister.
Who sings that?
Journey, Who Let the Dogs Out, Walk 500 Miles, and Kiss.
Okay, so you missed number 6 and number 8?
Well, I got the name of the song, but the artist was just, yeah.
That's pretty damn good. Judges, do we give it to her? Garrett, do I allow a steal? Is Kimberly paying attention? Do I allow a steal? All right. That's so close, though. She knows 8 of them, and on the other 2, she at least knows the title of the song. How about we do one steal here? Who was first? Michael? Michael in Weatherford, you ready for the steal?
No, I bow.
Wow, I appreciate the honesty. Well, you get honor points for that. Hey, Michael in Weatherford gets 3 points. Garrett, put it on the scoreboard. I see you typing. Yes, 3. There you go. Brian in Plano, you down for a steal?
I can't steal. I have 7, but she needs to know the artist.
Yes, well, she knew the artist on 8 of them. She just didn't know it on 2. All right, well, I gave it 2 chances. Hell, let's just give it to Jill then. Sounds like she... Oh, I hit the wrong damn button. All right. All right, Jill, you are our big winner. Woohoo! Congratulations. For the people who were wondering, playing along at home, the two she missed, that Hey Soul Sister, is by the absolute trash, terrible band Train. I'm kidding. It's actually not a bad song. It's just I've heard it so much and it's not that great. And it's just like, what if you took a good rock band and you squeezed out every milliliter of testosterone from their bloodstream? You would end up with Train. And so I think that's one of the things that bothers me about them. It's songs for women, and I'm just not the. Yeah, and the other one, Who Let the Dogs Out, Baha Men. You would, if you didn't know that already, you weren't going to think of it by sitting there for another 5 minutes and thinking. Congratulations to the big boss around here, Bruce. He got all 10. This was my montage, so he aced my montage. Thank you very much for playing Jill in Frisco. I'm going to put you on hold. Garrett, you get your information, and then she's going to get 2 tickets to the Leonard Skinner and Foreigner Double Vision Double Trouble Tour. It's coming to Dos Equis Pavilion August 28th. Get tickets and information at livenation.com. Listen to the WBAP Morning Show next week to find out how you can win a pair of tickets. Coming up next, MAGA Men Are Dangerous. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, happy Friday. Are MAGA men dangerous? We'll talk about that in just a second. I want to remind you we have the 38th annual Cumulus Kids Toy Drive presented by Dan Harker and the Empower Home team. Look, for us, we're on the donation side. We're the fortunate ones. The WBAP audience, we're actually the wealthiest audience in Dallas Talk Radio, or in Dallas radio, period, especially more than the music formats. So the onus is on us. Either take your unwrapped gift to a Sampac Auto Group location, or the easier, quicker, more convenient way, you can use the link at WBAP.com to donate money, or you can text the word KIDS to the same phone number you call in. It's at the bottom of the screen here, video people. 800-288-9227. Text the word KIDS, and we'll get you the link to donate to the 38th annual Cumulus Kids Toy Drive. I want to show you a viral video, and then we're going to have a fun little response to it. I love this idea that MAGA men are dangerous, because I like being dangerous. I don't want to be an old dork. I don't want to be a dad. I don't want to be a Ned Flanders, some harmless, safe guy over there that you can get drunk in front of, and he's not going to take advantage of you. He's going to give you a ride home. I want to be a bad guy. I want to be a rebel. I want to be dangerous. So I kind of like this.
If you are a woman still dating a man and he is pro-Trump and MAGA, you need to protect yourself right now. We are far along enough to the point where if he voted for Trump and hasn't addressed his shame and guilt for voting for Trump, he is a dangerous man, okay? The only reason why people still support Trump in this day and age is because they see a piece of themselves within him, okay? A man that's able to commit all of these atrocious crimes and harm and abuse women and children, and the list goes on, and get away with it. Also, a man who's DL, okay? He's able to get away with this stuff, and it excites them. I'm gonna tag the creator below. She said this in another video, and I was like, yeah, it makes perfect sense. Everything is a mirror. So if you haven't gotten out, or whatever your situation is, you need to protect yourself, because these are very dangerous people. And yes, it is that deep. It is that deep.
Yeah, we sure are dangerous. Look out for those MAGA men. They are dangerous. I mean, in some instances, we are dangerous, because if you're a burglar breaking into our house, man, we've got these guns that we've been juggling and just dying to use. We're just blow so many holes into them. Yeah, we're pretty dangerous. We like guns. We also drive big trucks. That's kind of dangerous, I guess. But also, you got to be real careful dating these MAGA men, because if you get pregnant, he's probably going to do something awful like marry you and help you raise the kid. And holy crap, what monster would do that? And then even if you were managed to survive, marriage and motherhood and family creation, if you managed to get through that huge hurdle, he's such a monster, he'd probably be okay with you just staying home and raising the kids, and he's the only one that has to work. And that's just terrible. You having to stay home and raise your own kids and not have to work. Oh my God, that's so scary. Women like that, though, I don't worry about women like that. I've met too many women like that, and they all revert to default settings at some point. They just haven't met the right guy yet. I love these other videos, because girls like that at some point have a great likelihood of converting just from meeting this right, handsome, evil MAGA man. Here's a couple examples.
I must be pretty weak-willed, because all it took was falling in love with a man, and now I'm like, not really. I mean, I'm a feminist, but like, kind of. I don't really need my maiden name. I don't really need it. I like your last name better anyway. Like, I'll just take that. I know he can do his own laundry. I know that he can clean the house, but I want to do it for him. I want to cook all his meals. I want to make sure he's getting all his whole grains, all his vegetables. I want to make sure he's getting all that protein. He has not asked any of this of me. It just kind of naturally kicks in. Like, these instincts just kind of come out of like, oh, now I have to take care of you when you're sick. Oops, I made you breakfast and it fits all of your dietary requirements. My bad. I think I got possessed by a housewife. Is that what happens?
Yeah, that's what happens. You just look, a feminist is just a sweet lady who hadn't met the right guy yet, right? Or not all of them, some of them.
I saw a girl on here say that when you have a good man, you're going to be in that kitchen and you're going to like it. And I could not agree more, because I was such a like, no, he can make his own food. No, I'm not going to get up at 3-4 in the morning and like make lunches. Like, I'm not going to do that. And, now that I have a good man, now that I'm being taken care of, Yes, sir. Expeditiously. Oh, your grandma used to make carne guisada and homemade tortillas, and that was like your favorite thing? Cool. I'm going to learn to make carne guisada and homemade tortillas. It's that simple. I hate dishes. I absolutely hate the dishes. Now, you need me to wash the dishes? I'll do you one better. I'll deep clean the sink afterwards, too.
Isn't that the sweetest thing you've heard? And don't worry, look, guys have really stupid instincts that kick in like this, too. I was just having the conversation with Miss Parker earlier this week.
Hi, Miss Parker.
I know, hi. I feel like I should be protecting her. And, like, she doesn't have any, like, immediate mortal threats. But it would be nice if she did, because I was explaining to her, you know how nice it would be if you, like, if we were standing next to each other and you got attacked by a wolf and I was able to kill the wolf. And it's not that I want to kill a wolf. I have no real desire to kill a wolf. But it would send a very distinct signal to all the other wolves in the area to, kind of stay away. And this little family is not worth the trouble here. And I don't know where that stupidity comes from in my brain. I don't know. Just I kind of want to kill something on her behalf, and I don't mean like an innocent little puppy or another human being, but something dangerous. I want to have like some mortal danger, and I just want to squish it in front of her face and just cut off its head and hand it to her while I'm all bloody and stuff. And I don't know where that comes from, but I do kind of enjoy it. All right, go have a good weekend. All right, go play with your family, make some memories. For a lot of you, this is the beginning of your Thanksgiving holiday because you took all of next week off. For you other suckers out there who are going to be working like me, I'll be here to do live shows all week, except for on Friday, I'm going to have a fill-in. So if you are still working, come back. I'll be here. In the next few days before Monday rolls around, if you need more James Show action, check out the podcast. Go to WBAP.com, the WBAP app. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. I got all kinds of good stuff and videos up there. You can catch the parts you missed. I'm James Parker. Mark Levin's next on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.